All right. Hey, guys. This is your host, Thomas Tyree here from Onthehop podcast. Today, we have some bonus content for you guys. We're joined by two hosts of the Three Guys, Six Balls podcast, Joel and Avery, joined with us today for today's bonus segment where we talk about football. Thank you guys again for joining. The first time I had you guys on, we had a blast. So definitely looking forward to having you guys on for a second time to discuss NFL content.
Yeah, thanks for having us back on. We appreciate. Well, when I say having us back on, I mean having me back on because Avery's never been on before.
Yeah.
But one of these times you'll get all three of us.
Yeah. I couldn't make it the first time, but I'm here this time. So
yeah, definitely. Will was good last time. I'm definitely looking forward to chopping up with Avery this time. And yeah, like you said, Joe, it'll be fun. Probably one day when we have the four of us discussing football.
Right.
We'll go ahead and get started by sharing our top 5 wide receivers in the National Football League. So we'll be going 1 through 5, or we can start 5 through 1. Who do you guys believe are the top 5 wide receivers in football today?
Avery, I'll let you go first.
Well, my top is Jamar Chase. I don't even know if that one's debatable. I'd be surprised if either of you have him not as one, unless the criteria is a little different, maybe. Justin Jefferson, I'd probably put CeeDee Lamb right after him. I like those three the most. Now, the other ones, there's some names that I want to throw out there that aren't really based on necessarily last year's production, but more where I see them as far as just value. If you were to pick them up and had, all the pieces you needed. I still put Tyreek Hill in 4. And then I'd put Drake London in 5.
Wow. Drake London at the 5th spot?
I got a bit of a soft spot for Drake London. I just think, I want to say he's been underutilized, but I feel like his potential, depending on the pieces around him, are higher than some other guys.
Yeah, Avery and I are both very high on Drake London. We actually just recently we did our top 5 wide receiver duos, and Avery and I both had Drake London and Darnell Mooney as our 5. So I feel like if you put Drake London on a team like the Eagles, he would be, just as good as AJ Brown. But, that's it is kind of a hot take a little bit, but
I think a lot of it for me is just the situation. We talked on our podcast about, a situation like, if you're a good quarterback, but you don't have a good line, you're not going to play very well. If you're a good receiver, but you don't have a good quarterback or a good line, it's like it's going to reflect on you as like you're not a great receiver. Like Tyreek Hill, it's not like he just became bad, but he didn't have good stats last year, but it's because his quarterback went out. So I think a lot of it, when I see these guys, I try to judge them. I mean, Jamar Chase has just been putting up insane numbers, so like I have to put him there. And that's something that even other great receivers in the right situation might not even be able to get to that level. So I have to respect that. But I think a lot of these other guys, it just comes down to the situation they're in.
Yeah, and I think the potential is there for Drake London, and that does make sense the way you broke it down because the quarterback situation in Atlanta, well, it's situated now, but how they started off last year, it's probably one of the best flash years that we've seen of Drake London since he came in. The offense was red hot. They started 6-3, and then Kirk Cousins his play started to die down with him playing through injury, and then they switched to Michael Penix Jr. So I get that, and I agree with Joel too, to the point where if Drake London was swapped with AJ Brown in Philly, he would be getting that same type of production, putting up them same type of stats and touchdown stats and whatnot. So I do get that. I was surprised Drake London was top 5, but the potential is definitely there. I think this year actually might be the best year we see out of him because it's a full camp with Penix Jr. getting the first team reps in camp and their chemistry can grow. So I'm definitely going to be looking forward to how Drake London plays. But I'll keep that in mind as the season goes on, Avery, for sure.
It's nice. I hope he does well now. Can't have that coming back to bite me.
Joel, who you guys are top 5?
Well, I also have Jamar Chase at 1. I have Justin Jefferson at 2, but I think you can make a case to put Justin Jefferson at 1. Really, the biggest difference for me between Jefferson and Chase is Chase has been in the league for 4 years and Jefferson's been in the league for 5 years. And I know Chase has had Burrow. He's got a better quarterback than Justin Jefferson's had. But the biggest difference between the two for me is Jamar Chase has 6 more touchdowns in 4 years than Justin Jefferson has in 5 years. And so that's really what separates them between 1 and 2 for me. So I've got Chase at 1, Justin Jefferson at 2. Then I've got CeeDee Lamb at 3. I've got AJ Brown at 4. And kind of similar to Chase and Jefferson with CeeDee Lamb and AJ Brown, I think you can kind of make a case for AJ Brown to be 3. But the reason that I have CeeDee Lamb at 3 and AJ Brown at 4 is because I just feel like AJ Brown has it a lot easier. Like you look at his offense, and they like to run the ball. In 2 out of the 3 seasons that AJ Brown has been with the Eagles, they've had a top 5 rushing offense. CeeDee Lamb's never had a top 5 rushing offense. And the one season that AJ Brown was on the Eagles and they didn't have a top 5 rushing offense, it was top 8. So that's something that CeeDee Lamb has never had, and he still produces as the only weapon on that team. AJ Brown also has Devontae Smith on that team. So that offense is just a lot more stacked and loaded than what the Cowboys have. So that's why I gave the edge to CeeDee Lamb there. So CeeDee Lamb at 3, AJ Brown at 4, and then at 5, I agree with Avery about Tyreek Hill. I know he had him at 4, but I've got him at 5. I still think he's one of the best receivers in the NFL, despite having a bad year last year. I think that the reason he had a bad year is, Tua was hurt, which is one thing, but his targets were down. He had 48 less targets than he had in 2023. So obviously when you have 48 less targets, you're not going to have as good of numbers, right? So yeah. I just think that offense just struggled. Even when Tua was in after he came back from the injury, I just think he wasn't right. And so if he can get back on track, I think Tyreek Hill is going to have another really good season. And, if you put him back on the Chiefs, he's going off. If you put him with Josh Allen, he's going off. If you put him with, any, capable quarterback who's not going to slam his head into people's knees every game, he's going to be just fine. So.
Yeah, I like that list, Joel. Definitely when you said the top 3 situation of CeeDee Lamb and AJ Brown that could be flipped, I actually agree with you as well. I think you could have the case for CeeDee at 3, like Avery said as well, because CeeDee Lamb, like you said, I mean, prime Zeke was done by the time he got to Dallas, and Tony Pollard only lasted his prime. Well, I wouldn't say his prime, but that type of year that he had really didn't last long to really have Dallas as a run-first offense compared to what they have in Philadelphia. So I think CeeDee is the better wide receiver, but that is a good case because there's so much around A.J. Brown. CeeDee Lamb has to work harder for his targets and the yak yards and things like that compared to A.J. Brown. You have to be on your toes for every defensive snap because they already have one of the best offensive lines. They have the best back in Saquon Barkley, and so much already surrounding the Philadelphia Eagles offense. It's easier, in my opinion, for A.J. Brown to get over rather than CeeDee Lamb on each and every single play. So that does make sense.
Yeah, and it's not to say that A.J. Brown is a bad receiver at all. I still got him at 4. Excuse me. I still got him at 4. So, I think he's a great receiver. I just think he has a lot easier of a time than CeeDee Lamb does.
Yeah. Before I go, I have a question for both of you guys. Do you guys think if Tyreek Hill, because you guys both have him in the top 5, if Tyreek Hill and the Dolphins start off slow and his targets aren't there, the stats aren't there, do you guys think he requests a trade from the Miami Dolphins before the trade deadline?
I would say so. I think so. I mean, he already kind of said this offseason, like, he needs to get out. He needs to be on a better team, but he's kind of taken that back. And I guess he's trying to kind of like gain the trust of his teammates again. But I think if things aren't going as they should be, like if he's not happy, I feel like he would.
Yeah, I think it depends on. That's what I was going to ask. Is like it depends where he's at because a lot of guys, it's kind of one of those things where it's like you want to be on a great team, you want to get paid, or you want to be on the same team because maybe you got a family or you don't want to move around. Everyone has their different priorities, but I still feel like Tyreek is in his prime, and I feel like it's one of those things where I would hope that he either puts pressure, not just after he hasn't done well after the first few weeks, but more than that, it's like, dude, like Michael Jordan was, not going to sit around while his team lost. So it was one of those things where he kind of set the tone, but there's a way to go about it that isn't just, well, I want to trade. It's more like, put pressure on your, management and stuff to get the pieces around you. And that shows that, you care and you're not just ready to dip out. So I think it kind of depends on how he goes about it. But if he's still trying to win, they got to figure some stuff out.
It's just frustrating. It's just frustrating for him because like I kind of get it because like when Tua's in, he's a really good quarterback. He's very accurate, but that's the problem is he's not always in. He has all these injuries. And so I get it from like a frustration standpoint. Like if your team is the best when you have your best player, but then he's missing half the games, half the time you're the worst, and that sucks. So I kind of get it from that standpoint, but you know,
Yeah, I agree with that because the health of Tua has either derailed the Dolphins' momentum when they have it, or you really can't get going because a Sky Moore or I think they had Tyler Huntley out there a few times last year. When you have quarterbacks like that with one of the best wide receivers in the game and you still can't produce, it's going to frustrate a guy like Avery said, still in the prime of his career and still can offer a lot to any offense around the National Football League. So I definitely think that I'll say if they go 1-3 or 1-2, or if they start off really rough and his numbers aren't there, he's going to demand a trade out of Miami.
I think so too.
That's it.
So my top five. One, I agree with you guys. Jamar Chase, I think he's the best wide receiver in the National Football League. I think he set the tone of what it's like to be a true number one for years to come around the league. And he's incredible in one-on-one looks, double team looks. And I think he's one of the youngest Triple Crown winners of all time based off of the production he had last year. Two, I agree as well. Justin Jefferson, I think he's the second best wide receiver, electric in open space, great in cross routes, and he's a clutch player when the Vikings need him to step up and have a clutch play in the offense. Three, I agree with you guys too. CeeDee Lamb, I think he's a phenomenal route runner. Joe, like we just said, he's one of those wide receivers that you have to work for every single play to get open, create separation from defensive backs. He knows how to defeat cornerbacks in coverage. I think he's a special player. Four, I'm gonna go with Tyreek Hill at four. You can't teach speed. I think when Tua is healthy and the offense for the Dolphins is clicking, he can display why he's still one of the best wide receivers in the National Football League, and he's electrifying up in space. Five, I'm gonna go Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's been very consistent. 3 out of his 4 seasons in the National Football League, he's had over 1,000 receiving yards. Been really consistent for the Lions since coming to the league. Always had that chip on his shoulder since several wide receivers was drafted before him in the draft that he was in years ago. But I was going to put A.J. Brown at that fifth spot, but I was thinking about Amon-Ra St. Brown, how consistent he's been. So A.J. Brown would be my honorable mention in the top five.
Yeah, I like that with St. Brown. I considered him. It's just, I think when you think about St. Brown and you think about receivers, like he's not the typical type of guy that you're looking for. And not to say that he's not great. He's amazing. He's awesome. But, if you were to start a franchise with a receiver, I don't think you're picking St. Brown. He just doesn't have the typical build that you look for with like a CeeDee Lamb or a Justin Jefferson type of guy. But that's not to say that he's not great. He's awesome. So I like that.
Yeah,
I think the list is solid.
And there's a lot of really good wide receivers. Like you could, obviously the strong number ones go there, but the number two guys that can be real number one threats, like a Devontae Smith, a T. Higgins, and there's wide receivers around the league like Puka Nacua, Cooper Cup. I almost forgot his. I almost said Cooper Flag. Cooper Cup went healthy. He is really good too. So there's like actually a lot of wide receivers in the National Football League that can step up and produce on a weekly basis. It's a good time to be a receiver around the league.
Definitely. Yeah, there's a lot of guys that I considered, especially when you get down to like the 4 or 5 spot. But yeah, I just felt like I had to go with AJ Brown and Tyreek Hill. But there's a lot of guys that I did consider to go in there too.
Yeah, I think all three of us had a really good list. Definitely gonna see Avery. Avery, you got me really intrigued. I do like what Drake London brings to the table. You got me really intrigued of how he's gonna play this year in Atlanta.
Just wait till you hear some of my other answers.
Yeah, that was a pretty good list, but we'll go ahead.
Yeah, Avery's also got the Falcons at number 1 in power rankings.
What?
I'm
true,
just kidding. He doesn't.
I was gonna say
he's going over 3,000 yards.
Well, we'll go ahead and move on to the next topic here. So we're gonna play our NFL start bench cut game. Now, Joe said he wanted this to be a surprise. There's a lot of really good ones here. I went through basically every position besides offensive line, of course, and I left out safety. So we'll go over quarterbacks, running backs, tight ends, receivers. So we'll start off at quarterback first. All right, start bench cut. Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, or Peyton Manning?
Do you want us to agree, or do you want us to do our own?
Oh no, I was just saying the three quarterbacks, but we're gonna do start bench cut for those.
Oh yeah, but like, do you want Avery and I to like agree, or do you want us to do like?
Yeah, we all give our own answers, like who we start, bench, and cut.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we talking? Cool. Are we talking prime here? Like
prime,
in their
all
prime?
Time?
Okay. I'll start. I mean, I can't make a case to do anything else for Tom Brady except for start him. So I'm starting Tom Brady. I think I will. Man, it's a tough one after Tom Brady, but I think I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes to bench and cut Peyton Manning. And I just feel like Mahomes just has the ability to do more than Peyton Manning. And not Peyton Manning is great. Like, he's a fantastic quarterback. Like, when you think of quarterbacks, like, he's one of the first guys that comes to mind. But I just feel like Patrick Mahomes has the ability to do more, like as far as running and as far as making throws that are like ridiculous. And, you know, it's just, I feel like his ability to do that is just a level that it's like on a different level than Peyton Manning. So that's why I would do that.
Yeah, I think that's solid right there. What do you think, Avery?
Shoot. I want to preface this by saying they're all legends.
Yeah.
Who can really classify these guys? I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna cut Tom Brady.
Whoa.
I think he's the GOAT. I think he's one of the greatest to ever do it.
But
however, I think he's more of shoot. I think a lot of it is the intangibles and the situation he puts around himself. Like, a lot of it is like he had a lot of success. I mean, the Buccaneers is what really separated him, like showing, okay, you've got the goods. Like, you were in New England for forever, very similar, front office management, everything. So like you could gain some consistency, but when you did it in Tampa Bay, it kind of proved everyone that you could still just do it on your own. But I think I would put Patrick Mahomes to start and Peyton Manning. And I think I had the toughest time deciding who would be on top between those two. I just think Peyton Manning head to head against Tom Brady, talking prime, I think Tom Brady's better. But I think what Patrick Mahomes can do are things that neither one of the other two can do. And so I have to put him ahead. The hardest part there was just trying to figure out like what era of football we're playing. Because I think that has a big, I mean, when we're splitting hairs like that, that definitely comes into play. But yeah, I'd go Patrick Mahomes, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady.
Just to your point real quick, Avery. So the era, it's kind of similar. I mean, it's not, the league right now is a little bit different than when Brady was playing, but he still did go up against Patrick Mahomes. So it's kind of the same era.
Yeah, I guess I'm talking more like 2010 era, like Manning, Brady. It's not a ton. It's not like Elway versus Mahomes, but yeah, I'm sticking with my list: Mahomes, Manning, Brady.
Ooh. That is tough though, because you're talking about some all-time greats and how they played the game, how they read defenses, how they went about it. It is tough, this first one.
And I should say, this is more from the period of like if we were going to play Madden together and you got to choose the quarterback on your team, I think I would choose Mahomes over Manning or Brady.
Well, then you go Michael Vick.
But he's not on there. We can't put the absolute GOAT on the list.
Yeah, here's what I will say about Tom Brady is he's the GOAT, but he's not the most talented quarterback we've ever seen.
No.
He had other things that made him the GOAT, like his leadership, his work ethic, stuff like that. Like he had other things aside from just pure talent that made him the GOAT. I think Patrick Mahomes is one of just the most pure talented quarterbacks that we've ever seen. Not to say that he doesn't have those other things, but Tom Brady didn't just have pure talent. Like you look at his picture from the combine when he's coming out of Michigan, like that's not a guy that just has pure talent. He just had other things that made him the GOAT.
Yep.
Yeah, I actually 100% agree with that. And that was actually one of the reasons one of the things I was about to say when I go. So start, bench, cut, I'm going to go start Tom Brady. And if you compare these two quarterbacks, kind of piggybacking off of what Joel just said and a little bit what you said, Avery, if you compare how all three play the position, you would say Brady actually lasts based off of arm strength and how they play the position. But I would start Tom Brady based off of him knowing how to win in dire situations, having one of the best comebacks in sports history, getting it done in the postseason when it matters most, his leadership, him working with less in an offense compared to somewhat of what Mahomes has had in the prime and Peyton Manning. I'm talking the back end of Tom Brady's time in New England. So I would start Tom Brady. I'm a bench Patrick Mahomes. I'm bench Patrick Mahomes because of what he's shown me, and since being the starter with the Chiefs has been phenomenal. And he's actually won more playoff games already than Peyton Manning, more Super Bowls. That's the only thing about Peyton Manning. He's an all-time great, but struggled at times in the playoffs, and the turnovers could be a problem at times too, and not fulfilling what a lot of people would have thought would have happened, because it's kind of crazy still to this day that Peyton and Eli are tied with 2 rings. You would think Peyton would have way more with being a 5-time MVP. So I'll put the postseason into a reason why I would bench Peyton Manning, only because Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady are more proven winners.
I like it.
If you put Eli Manning on that list, do you put him over Brady?
Eli, oh no.
If,
I don't know. He beat him. So
if Eli Manning is on that list, I'm double cutting him.
I love how like we're going down the list and you're like, yeah, man, I got to bench Mahomes. And like, you're basically saying he's the second best quarterback ever. Like that's basically what you're saying, but you're saying it like, yeah, man, I got to bench him. It's like you gave him the silver medal. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard because, I mean, I don't know how you guys think. I think actually Mahomes is, right now, I would say he is the second best all time. Now, that's hot to put him over Peyton Manning and Joe Montana, but it's just how he's just winning and the way he's done it. And he's not even 30 years old yet. So we can only imagine what he can do before he hangs it up. Yeah, we got plenty of time to see what he's actually going to do. And 3 Super Bowl rings, 5 Super Bowl appearances, that's crazy for under 30 years old. But one thing I will say, though, about Peyton Manning is I think position, if you're playing the position, I think he did play the position better than what Mahomes is showing us and Tom Brady. That man was a wizard at the offensive line, just reading defenses, the famous Omaha audibles. He was just so smart as a leader on the field. And the arm strength, it started to die down towards the end of his career, but his arm strength, he put the ball there before his receivers could get there. He was just so magical playing the position.
Definitely.
Yeah. Running back. This one should be a good one too. All right, start, bench, cut. Emmitt Smith, Barry Sanders, or Walter Payton?
Oh, geez. Can I start all of them?
Jeez.
Man, that's even harder than the quarterback one.
Who is it? It's Emmitt Smith, Walter Payton, Barry Sanders?
Yeah.
Yikes.
See, the hard thing is Barry Sanders didn't play as long, but Emmitt Smith is the all-time leader in rushing yards and touchdowns, but he played longer. But he also had Emmitt Smith was just like, you look at his stats, like he, aside from like maybe 1 or 2 years, he played almost every single game. And so like that's crazy in itself, like just the fact that he could endure all that. And then Walter Payton is just like, he was basically the only good part about the offense when the Bears won their Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Jeez. How about you go first, Thomas?
I know this one was tough. All right, I'll start Emmitt Smith. This is hard, but like you just said, Joe, he's the all-time rushing leader. And I honestly think that's a record that will never be broken because it's a passing league now, pass first league, and running backs just aren't as durable anymore. So I have to put that in consideration for this start bench cut situation. And he did help his rushing and him running the ball did help Dallas in the glory days of the 90s win 3 Super Bowls without how effective he was running the ball. And also the part you said, Joel, of him being available and healthy for the Dallas Cowboys as much as he was. I think that has to be put into consideration. I'm a bench Barry Sanders, and I know he was so explosive in open space, so effective running the ball, and effective as a pass catcher. But I just feel like he would have played longer if he wasn't stuck with a franchise like the Detroit Lions. And I know longevity can go into this situation, but I just think he was just so phenomenal with the running back position. And I would unfortunately have to cut Walter Payton. But like you said, Joe, that was a good point too. He was the only bright spot on that offense for the Bears when they were in the 80s dominating with that all-time defense when they won the Super Bowl. But yeah, that's tough, but that's who I would do. Start Emmett, bench Barry, and then cut Walter Payton.
All right. I think I got mine. I think I will have to go with Barry Sanders to start. Now, I know he played less seasons, but I think he was better in those seasons. He never had, at least as far as I remember, I don't think he ever had any like down seasons. But he didn't have the greatest O line. So here's the thing. I feel like Emmitt Smith had a better supporting cast. I feel like he was just, in general, just had a better situation. I would kind of compare it to Tom Brady a little bit, where your franchise was never really in flux. Just like never in this like, whoa, we're rebuilding, but you're still here. You'll be here for however we want to rebuild this team, if it's good or not. Walter Payton, I'd probably put in the middle. That dude was violent. I don't think he just played in a more physical NFL. And I think what he was able to do, and as long as he was able to do it, is impressive. Because I think any current running back right now, and that includes Saquon or Henry, would get injured a lot easier. So, God, it's so hard. But yeah, I'll probably just do Barry Sanders, Walter Payton, Emmitt Smith. That feels so weird putting Emmitt Smith at the bottom.
They're all so talented, though, so there's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the tiebreaker for me between start and bench is that I'm a Cowboys fan. So I'm going with Emmitt Smith to start. And I think I'll bench Walter Payton and I'll cut Barry just because of, he didn't play as long as the other guys.
Yeah. And that's the bummer because it's like before the Lions became what they are now, they like wasted 2 all-time greats. You go to Barry Sanders, he would have definitely loved to play more, but the situation like basically killed the game that he loved with the Lions. And the same could be same for Calvin Johnson, how well he dominated the receiver position a few years ago with him, Matthew Stafford. Like the losing mentality, I guess, when you're at the peak of your career, when you deserve more, can really defeat your morals of how you go about the game. And I think Barry Sanders actually might be having that all-time record. I know Emmitt Smith was dominant for so long and really had a good offensive line too. But I just think Barry Sanders is just so special. It's just unfortunate he didn't play as long as Emmett or Walter Payton did.
Yeah, definitely.
So next, we'll go to receiver after this one, but I wanted to get tight end out of the way.
Okay.
Start bench cut. Rob Gronkowski, Travis Kelsey, or Tony Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzalez is first. I won't
Yep.
accept anyone else giving any other spot.
I agree.
Tony.
I agree. I agree.
And I'll die on that hill.
No, I agree. I would start Tony. I would bench Travis, and I would cut Rob Gronkowski just because Rob Gronkowski was injured a lot more. And when he was on the field, he was amazing. But I feel like he had a lot more injuries, and so he wasn't available as much as the other two guys. But yeah, I agree with Avery. It's Tony to start, and then I'd put Travis on the bench, and I would cut Gronkowski.
I'm 100% with Joel right there. I see it the exact same way.
I am not. I'm going to switch sides. I think all of them are. I think those are the best tight ends to ever play. Those three, and they just made that position look magical. Oh, this is actually hard. So I'm going to be the bad guy here. I'm going to say start Gronk. Only because that man was not supposed to. His height and his weight, like that man was just a bully at the tight end position. Like his size, his speed, his athleticism, and he was like that perfect security blanket for Tom Brady. I know that's a cheat code to have the best quarterback of all time be your quarterback your whole entire career in Tampa or in New England, but that man was just a good route runner, getting open in space, and a good run blocker as well. Very physical and violent. I'm gonna bench Travis Kelsey, and I know this is another cheat code he played with Mahomes is basically or most of his career, but that man is all reliable, consistent, always giving us great seasons, great football IQ, and really consistent. I only bench Tony Gonzalez because I just feel like I can't even really say that in my mouth. Prime years Tony Gonzalez is phenomenal too, but I don't know. I just feel like based off of the production that Gronk and Kelsey gave me or gave us to watch, I would put them over Tony Gonzalez. But I will say for this, Gronk's health compared to Travis Kelsey and Tony Gonzalez is a big part of how you can view him as an all-time great because a lot of time he was unhealthy and unavailable. So that would leave Tom Brady down to rely on guys like Julian Edelman or Chris Hogan towards the end of his Patriots days. So definitely I like the answers. I'm just gonna be the bad guy and say start Gronk, bench Kelsey, and then cut Tony Gonzalez.
I could defend that because I think Tony Gonzalez is basically not necessarily like the most dominant, but I think he is a front office's dream. Dude never missed a game in 16 years, just consistent the whole way through. And so I see that and I'm like, look, you didn't have, Tom Brady throwing you passes. You didn't have Patrick Mahomes throwing you passes. So you're just at Kansas City pre, good team. Then Atlanta. Yeah. I just feel like, it's a little bit of you didn't get your perfect situation. But I guess I would say if we're talking about peak performance, I'd probably put Gronk up there above everyone. But like Joel said, if we're considering injuries, I'm I don't want to risk that. But he was an absolute bully. It's just that shorter career. I don't really know what else he could have done, but that's a tough one. But I can see your reasoning for it.
Somebody had to be the bad guy, so it just happened to be you.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think hands down those three are the best tight ends of all time. Receiver, that's another tough one too, but I think we possibly could be all in the same agreement to this one. All right, start bench cut. Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, Terrell Owens.
Oh, this one's easy for me. Jerry Rice is a start 100%. Randy Moss is on the bench and Owens is cut. And that's purely just because of his attitude.
Yeah, his attitude really was not the best.
Yeah. He was a fantastic receiver, but purely just because of his attitude, I'm cutting him.
What about you, Avery?
I'd probably agree. here's the thing. I haven't seen a ton of Jerry Rice film, so I can't really say too much about it. I'm not an expert there, but I have seen Randy Moss plays. Um, I'd still probably put Jerry Rice there just because, like, even though I haven't seen it, doesn't mean he wasn't great or the greatest. But
Yeah.
I'll just put Randy Moss up there because I thought that dude was a freak. Total freak. I thought Jerry Rice was a little bit more like maybe a little bit more like Tony Gonzalez, just like playing the right way. Excellent, probably one of the best route runners of all time. But Randy Moss was just nuts. So I'll put Randy Moss above Rice, but that's probably somehow objectively wrong, but I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, I'll start Jerry Rice. I think he's the best receiver of all time. And I know, like Avery said, over the years, it took me a little bit to learn more about Jerry Rice because that was before my time. But I think he's an all-time great, all-time leader in receptions and receiving yards and receiving touchdowns and longevity. He played, I believe he played until he was in his 40s. I think the last team was the Seattle Seahawks he played for. I'm benching Randy Moss, and that's a compliment because, like Avery said, that man was phenomenal, a great deep route runner. Basically started his own trend. You got Moss based off how he was just bullying defenders and jump ball situations. And then I'll cut Terrell Owens because Joel is correct. His attitude was horrible, very horrible. Not a good team player or a leader at all.
He did have some memorable moments though, like with the popcorn in his helmet and that's my quarterback.
Tony Romo. We'll go to middle linebacker. We'll go to middle linebacker here. Start bench cut. Ray Lewis, Luke Kuechly, Patrick Willis.
Oh, geez. Man, I feel
I'll
like
go first. I'll go first.
Okay, go.
I'll go Ray Lewis first. Who is the third one you said?
Patrick Willis.
Patrick Willis. I'm gonna go Luke Kuechly on the bench, and I'm gonna cut Patrick Willis. I the land shark Ray Lewis. I thought he was terrifying. Luke Kuechly, I thought was the whole package. I really liked Luke Kuechly, and I was genuinely sad and upset when he retired.
Yeah,
I think that was the best decision for him and his family. But dude was a monster, and he was I have family in North Carolina. They all I have 3 aunts, and they all would have married their children to Luke Kuechly. That's no question. They were in love with him and loved him. And so I watched a lot of his stuff. I think he's fantastic. He was fantastic. But yeah, put Ray, Luke, and then Pat.
I agree with Avery. I don't think there's no question for me that I'm starting Ray Lewis, but the question is between Kuechly and Willis. And just because neither of them played as long as they could have, they both had shorter careers. But I agree with Avery. I would bench Kuechly and cut Willis.
Yeah, we're all in agreement for this one. I got to start Ray Lewis. I think he's one of the best defensive players of all time. Definitely best middle linebacker of all time. I mean, great leader. I mean, he was the heart and soul for the Baltimore Ravens as long as he played. Actually started out with the franchise when they came back to Baltimore. So, yeah, great leader, hard hitter, made a lot of impact plays, either sacking the quarterback, getting a lot of interceptions, being that great tackler that can tackle in open space to get a lot of tackle for losses. Bench Luke Kuechly because Luke Kuechly, I think this might be a hot take to you guys, but if Luke Kuechly continued to play longer than what he did, I know he had the unfortunate problems with concussions, and I agree with Avery. It was best for him to walk away when he did. I think he might have caught Ray Lewis. I think just because of how well he played the game, how mature he was, has great football IQ. The man was a a monster in the film room because he knew most of the time what the offense was bringing to him. He was just a great, outstanding linebacker and definitely a great tackler in open space too. And I would unfortunately cut Patrick Willis because as great as he was, I just don't think he was as great as Ray Lewis and Luke Kuechly to play the middle linebacker position.
Wow, we all agreed.
I was just looking up Ray Lewis's stats. I'm just counting how many years he played because Kuechly and Willis played 8, and I'm just counting here 9, 12, 15. He played like 17 seasons. Ray Lewis played like 17 seasons.
Jeez.
Unless I miscounted, but
that's a long career.
That's forever. Even if I did miscount, like that's twice as long as the other two guys.
Dude, that's longer than Tony Gonzalez played. That's wild for a middle linebacker.
All that hitting and stuff. Yeah, the physical position to play. And the way how he played it, he just set the tone for what it's like to be a Raven now. But Luke Kuechly, I'm telling you guys, like Avery said, I could see why like people loved and admired him. Like that man was really special. I really do have that feeling if he was still playing today and healthy, like he would have maybe caught up to Ray Lewis in terms of who the greatest middle linebacker is all time. That's just how phenomenal that guy was, playing the position and being the leader on the defensive side of the football.
For sure.
Oh, so we got Ray Lewis. Oh, I'm just looking right here.
What would you say, Avery?
Did he lead? Does he have an NFL record for the most tackles? Combined and solo? Jeez.
Let's see.
Are you looking that up, Avery?
Yeah. Two Defensive Player of the Year awards, two Super Bowls, and he has an NFL record for the most.
Yeah, he has the most by almost 200 tackles, solo tackles. It says.
Jeez, yeah. All right, that just makes me feel better, even better about the rankings.
He nearly has 1,000 solo tackles in his career.
He's got 15. He's got nearly 1,600.
Yeah,
that's insane. That's literally
100. The NFL record for most tackles in a season was set by him in his second year.
Oh, jeez.
That's crazy. And that man was a hard hitter. Like, he made you pay for it. If he was going to come and find you, he made you pay for it.
I bet after that second year, he's like, all right, I don't need to get as many tackles, but I can still get a lot. Like, I have to pace myself here.
Yeah.
That's funny. So actually, this might be the last one. Yeah, this is going to be the last one. Cornerback. We'll go cornerback, and then we'll move on to the final segment. So start bench cut. Deion Sanders, Rod Woodson, or Charles Woodson?
Who's the second one you said?
Rod Woodson.
Rod Woodson.
I'm going to go Deion to start. I can't go against prime time. And then I'll go Charles Woodson on the bench, and I'll cut Rod Woodson. I don't really have a good reason as to why, but I just feel like that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I have to put Charles Woodson as number one. He's number one. Then I'll put Deion. And then I'll put Pat. Or Rod.
Pat.
Everyone's Pat. Yeah, Rod Woodson.
It's okay. He's cut. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's tough because they play the cornerback position so perfectly. I'll start Deion. I'll definitely start Deion. Like Joel said, I can't go against prime time. In his prime, he was a good lockdown cornerback, good punt returner, and changed the way how, in my opinion, how cornerbacks play with confidence, swagger, and definitely want to be that alpha on the field in your own island. I think Deion Sanders set the tone of how people would like to play the position. Bench, I'm going to go Rod Woodson because Rod Woodson was a true ball hawk. I think he has the record for the most pick sixes in NFL history with 12. And he averaged 3.8 interceptions a season. So this man was just piling up interceptions. I don't have his all-time record of how many interceptions he had, but that man was a beast looking at his highlights. back in the day. And then Charles Woodson was amazing too in his prime. I know the prime years that he had with the Raiders and helped the Packers win their previous Super Bowl. Charles Woodson was a phenomenal player too. I would just bench him based off of the production that Deion Sanders and Rod Woodson gave in their primes compared to him.
Yeah, I think that's a good choice too. It just, I don't know. It could be more of like a just guy that I kind of watched type of thing, like a recency bias type of thing.
Yeah. To me, I just think Charles Woodson he's the Kleenex of defensive players in my mind. You just say Woodson, and I just think, oh yeah, cornerback. Charles. I mean, he's the only one. Didn't he win the Heisman?
Yeah, I think he won
the Heisman too.
Yeah,
that to me, that's like legend status. Dude wins Heisman as a defensive player. Like that's
you don't see that nowadays. Stuff. It's like a quarterback or a quarterback stat award.
Like you need to have to me, that's just luck, dude. It's luck, but also the skill and the ability to capitalize on that. Dude, I was playing some Road to Glory as a cornerback. That is one of the hardest things I've ever done in that game. Dude, they will lull you to sleep and just never pass your guy the ball until one time you slip up and your guy goes by you and scores an 80-yard touchdown on you. And you're like, all right, I'm done. Like half of it, I see interceptions as like, if I was the greatest cornerback that's ever lived and every quarterback knew that, I wouldn't have any interceptions because no one would throw the ball to me. So it's one of those things where when I see interceptions, I'm like, it's a weird thing because if you're the best corner out there and the quarterback in the moment knows, I'm not talking about a whole career, I'm talking, game to game, you're just not going to get the ball thrown to you. And most of the time, a lot of these picks are like bounces off somebody. Like no one's going to just go right for you. Like, oh, I'm going to like risk it all on this pass to Charles Woodson right now. And so it's one of those weird things where when it comes to tackles or interceptions or pick sixes, I feel like you have to be in this middle ground of like, well, I'm not going to throw to the top cornerback, so I'll throw it to the second top one. And then he gets a bunch of picks, and now all of a sudden he's the top cornerback. So it's a weird thing with defensive players, but I'm not going to get into that.
That does make sense in a way. I like that Road to Glory answer. I never tried it, but it sounds unrecommended.
It's brutal. It's brutal.
that does make sense of how you play the position and having your own island, things like that. So I do like that answer right there, Avery. But we'll go ahead and move on to the final segment. So we're going to be sharing our early NFL power rankings of who we believe are currently the best 5 teams heading into the NFL season.
Do you want to start us off on this one, Thomas?
Yeah, I can start off. All right, let's take a look one more time. All right, number 1, I'm going to go with the reigning defending Super Bowl champions and the Eagles. I think they're still number 1. They did lose a lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball during the offseason. Several starters, but I think having one of the best defensive minds in football, Vic Fangio, still as their defensive coordinator, they'll be fine. I like the selection. I think that was a first-round draft steal, getting Campbell, linebacker from Alabama. I think he could be really good for this defense if healthy. 2, I'll go with the Baltimore Ravens. I've been raving about them for a little bit the last month or so. They had a really good offseason. You had veteran wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins. You had Jair Alexander, a steal in the month of June. If both of those players are healthy, I think they'll be impact players when needed for Baltimore this season. And they had a really good, solid draft. I like they added Malachi Stark, safety from Georgia in the first round, and Mike Green, edge rusher from Marshall in the second round. So I think they had a pretty good offseason. 3, I'll go with the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm really concerned about their offensive line heading into the season because Patrick Mahomes cannot afford to be on his back and hurt. So I hope they address that situation and they get better as the season goes on. I need to see more balance in the season. It was rare that the defense was actually the better part of the offense last year, which is really rare for a Patrick Mahomes team not to be talked about their offense. The defense is better and more talked about. 4, I'll go with the Buffalo Bills. Really didn't do too much in the offseason, but I think they're going to ride off that momentum that they had last year with Josh Allen winning the MVP award for the first time and then going to the AFC Championship. 5, I'll go with the Detroit Lions. The Lions, I think they're going to be really good this year. I think their defense was one of the reasons why they didn't go further in the playoffs. They were just banged up across the board on the defense side of the ball. I like them bringing in DJ Reed, but I want to see how they play in the first couple weeks because Ben Johnson's gone, Aaron Glenn's gone. So I want to see how the Lions play, but those are my top 5 teams right now.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty solid list. I'll let Avery go, but I'll just say I have 4 of those 5 teams on my list. So
okay.
I'll go last. I want to go last just to reveal my my number 5 team, but I'll let Avery go first.
I also have a similar number 5 team. I don't think you guys are gonna like it.
Number 1, I got the Eagles.
They're the last team to win. Got to keep them there. Number 2, I got the Ravens. 3, I got the Bills. 5, I got the Lions.
Wait, did you skip one?
Or sorry, 4, I got the Lions. Sorry,
okay.
4, I got the Lions. But 5, I have the Denver Broncos.
That's mine. You
Shut up!
You
Shut up!
Dude.
That's crazy.
I was thinking what it would be. I'm like, that's weird. You're saying your 5th is weird. I'm like, maybe it's like the Vikings or the Packers or the Commanders or somebody, but
I had a feeling you were going to pick the Broncos. I had a feeling.
I think they are going to have one of the best defenses. Pat Surtain is incredible, but I think Bo Nix is going to make a massive leap this year. And I wouldn't say massive in the sense of like massive statistical overhaul, but more like Bo was a rookie last year. He wasn't one of the premier rookie quarterbacks. He was in there. He didn't get a lot of, I don't want to say he didn't get a lot of attention, but he didn't get as much as other ones. But I think him with Sean Payton and the rest of that team, I think they beat out the Chiefs. I think they beat out, the Chargers, the rest of the AFC West. And yeah, I like them as my number 5 team. Joel.
Dude, that's crazy. That's crazy.
This is the same thing with Drake London, dude.
Yeah. What is it about us and the number 5 teams?
Number 5 spot is magical to you two.
All right. So I'll just go through my full list real quick. So I got the Eagles at 1. I mean, they're the reigning champions. I know they lost some stuff on defense, but I still think they have a really solid defense. Number 2, I have the Chiefs. And I know they looked terrible in the Super Bowl, but it just anytime they have Patrick Mahomes, they're going to be in the conversation. They're going to be right there competing for a Super Bowl every single year. It's the same thing with Tom Brady and the Patriots. So I got them at 2.
I know it's true because I hate it. I hate it, and therefore that's why it's true.
Yeah. Number 3, I have the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson was fantastic last year, and I think part of that is because of Derrick Henry. When you have Derrick Henry in the backfield, you're going to be a better passer because people are worrying about Derrick Henry. And so I think they're going to do that same thing again this year. They just got to watch out for Mark Andrews' hands, and they'll be fine. I think they addressed one of their biggest weaknesses. The defense was fantastic. They were the number 1 rush defense. They only allowed like 80-something yards a game, but their pass defense was the second worst in the league. And I think they made some moves to address that. As you mentioned, Thomas, they signed Jair Alexander and they drafted Malachi Starks. So I think that pass defense is going to be significantly improved. I've got the Buffalo Bills at 4. All you really need to say is Josh Allen. There's not really anything else to say. And then 5, I've got the Denver Broncos. And Avery kind of mentioned the defense. There's really 2 reasons I love this team. Well, 3. I love Bo Nix, but the 2 main reasons is the defense is going to be fantastic. They added Jahdae Barron, he's going to I think he's going to have a fantastic season with Pat Surtain because you've already got that shutdown guy on one side. And so it's going to open up opportunities for you on the other. And the second reason is not a reason that people talk about with the Denver Broncos. It's their offensive line. They have one of the best offensive lines in football, which is one of the reasons why Bo Nix had such a great rookie year. So their offensive line last year they led the league in both pass block and run block win rate. So they led the league in both. They allowed the third least amount of sacks with 24. And so this offensive line is very good. They're returning all 5 starters from last year as well. So they've already played together. They have all those snaps together. It's going to be one of the reasons why this offense is going to be just fine. A lot of people have concerns about the offense because they don't have the best running backs and they don't have the best receivers. But when you have one of the best offensive lines, that stuff doesn't matter as much. It still matters a little bit, but it doesn't matter as much. And again, that's one of the reasons why Bo Nix had such a great rookie year, and one of the reasons why I think he's going to have a really good sophomore season as well. So that offensive line for the Denver Broncos, along with that defense, that's why I have them at 5. Those 2 main reasons why I have the Broncos at 5.
Yeah, I agree with you guys for the Broncos hype. I think they are one of, if not the toughest challenge for the Chiefs in that AFC West. I know everybody likes to rave about the Chargers because of Herbert and Jim Harbaugh. And now the Raiders are getting a little better, but the Broncos, like you said, Joel, they are going to be really good. And Avery, to your point as well, I think Bo Nix does take that next step in his sophomore season. Really didn't get the type of recognition that Jaden Daniels did. But I think the Broncos are going to be a real threat in the AFC based off of the production they could do defensively and the growth and maturity that Bo Nix will have, and still has Sean Payton in his ear helping him improve on a daily basis. So I think the Broncos are definitely going to be a true threat in the AFC this year.
Man, I can't believe Avery had that. That's just crazy.
I'm glad you had me go first, so it didn't look like I was copying you. That's good.
Yeah. Anytime we do a list, when we get to 5, I'm just going to make sure that you give yours first before I do.
Yeah.
That is funny. Magical 5 spot.
Jeez. That was the same thing I said too when we did the wide receiver duos. I'm like, I don't know if you guys are going to like this, but I got the Falcons.
That's funny. But we'll go ahead and then sign off for the night. Joel and Avery, I want to thank you guys again for joining tonight. Joel, where can we find the 3 Guys 6 Balls podcast for people watching and listening that are interested in NFL content?
Yeah, so we're on Instagram, TikTok, we're on X, YouTube, Facebook, and you can find us on all those at 3 Guys 6 Balls NFL podcast. And I highly doubt that if you look up that name, you're going to see anything else except us. So it's pretty easy to find us.
Just make sure you have safe mode set to on. So
never mind. Before we get on, I actually asked Joel how you guys came up with that name. It is pretty unique, but I was putting 2 and 2 together when I found you guys. I was like, wait a minute. And I put 2 and 2 together. So Joel told me how you guys came up with the name. It's creative. I will say it is really creative.
A lot of people, when they first hear it, they're like, oh, so like 3 Guys 6 Balls, like you guys talk about like 6 different sports, right? And I'm like, no, like that's not the case at all.
They're probably like Avery tries every once in a while to throw in some basketball or something.
It's just like, think about it a little bit, you'll get it.
It's funny because I don't even see it as like, oh yeah, 3 guys and then 6 balls. I see it more like, dude, we just needed a name. We just didn't want to get hung up on this one detail. And Will just said that. And we're like, honestly, that works. I don't want to overthink this. Let's just run with that and not question it. So.
Well, it's funny because my wife was like, she hated our original name. And so she said, get a new one. And so Will suggested 3 Guys 6 Balls because he's like, that's what we are. And so then I told my wife and she's like, oh, I like that name. But she was one of the people that was like, oh, you're going to talk about 6 different sports. And then, I just ran with the name. And then she's like, later she was like, I didn't realize that's what it was.
She liked it for all the wrong reasons. That's great.
Yeah. But we just rolled with it because I'm like, well, she said it was good. So,
That's funny though. But yeah, I like to thank you guys again, Joel and Avery, for joining. And that's all the time we have for you guys today. Your host, Thomas Tyree, signing off. And the guys from the 3 Guys 6 Ball podcast, Joel and Avery, signing off. and I'll see you guys on next week's episode.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Sweet.